I want to make a comment on two of the most beautiful sentences I had ever heard people around me utter. The first one happened before the pandemic. The second one happened during the pandemic. So in 2019, I'm a professor. I was teaching a course on operating systems, and there's a lot of software that the students need to set up in order to do their homework. And so after the first day of class, one of my students said, "Can I see you on campus at 5 p.m.? My class starts at 6. He wanted to come by at 5 p.m. To get help installing software. And I said, "That's fine." I had another appointment from 3 to 4, and then I wanted to get some lunch, and then I wanted to go to the campus to sit down to eat. I lived pretty far away from the two campuses that I was traveling between. Okay, so I get some lunch, and it's about 4:30, and I sit down to eat, and the student shows up early, 4:40 or so. And to give you an idea, I used to have a eating problem. I wouldn't say a full-blown eating disorder, but I'm halfway through my meal, and he comes up to me and says, "Good afternoon, Andrew." And I start answering him, and within a few sentences I realize I'm uncomfortable. I want to get back to my food. My mouth is watering in anticipation. I keep thinking that maybe he'll figure it out, and he doesn't, and it just goes on longer than it does. I really try to rush him, and he's flat out told me, "How do I drop this course?" And I said, "Well, what's wrong?" And he says that this is only the second day of class and already having trouble. I don't want to bother you and the other students. Show me how to drop the class. And I'm thinking to myself, if you would just go away and come back at 5 like you had agreed to, I would be finished with my meal. I could probably be a lot more mentally acute to answer you. That's what I'm thinking. I didn't say it out loud, obviously, and this isn't drop your class kind of problem, right? And but now reflecting back on it, it was the most beautiful thing I ever encountered, because it two things. It taught me that if you don't say what it is you want, right? I want to go back to my lunch. Somebody's going to interpret it their way, and it might not be the way that you interpret it, right? That's one lesson I learned from it. The second lesson I learned from it is that if you don't control your eating's going to control you. It's going to control whether or not you can go to your job, whether or not you can get involved in a relationship, whether or not you can drive safely, whether or not you get the idea, right? It could even end your life if taken to the extreme, right? And I learned that if you don't control your eating or your usage of things or your sleeping or your sex or your life partners, those things are going to control you, and usually not in a good way. Okay, so that was the first beautiful thing I heard over the last couple of years. Now, during the pandemic, back in July, I was attempting to move into an apartment in Wallace, Idaho, and I knew the owner. I had rented from her through Airbnb, but it was only a couple nights back in the summer of 19. But I wanted to do a long-term rental, so I had called her, and as it turned out, I ended up going to Wallace in order to view something in the night sky. I forget what event that was. And so I was in the town. And so I dropped by to see if the apartment would be ready to check in. And I was talking to the owner. And the owner has a very confused look on her face. And all of a sudden she blurted out, "Hey, Andrew, could you just give me one day?" And she blurted it out in a weird way. And it turned out the apartment wasn't ready, which is nice, because when I came back, it was in a much better order than when I saw it the previous day. And I had no problem waiting that one day. It was July. Wallace is very comfortable to stay in your car in July. And but I kicked myself, because when the student was early that time, I should have just said, "Hey, whatever his name is, could you just give me 5 minutes, right?" Anyways, when she said it, I was really upset at myself. I was kicking myself because I didn't do that with that student. He ended up not dropping the course, but I got a bad evaluation out of that when I could have just said, could you just give me 5 minutes, right? I didn't even have to say I want to eat, right? I could have just said, hey, our appointment's at 5. I could have asked for it all the way till 5, right? At least 20 or so minutes, right? Not even just 5, right? I didn't even have to explain that I had an eating disorder, right? So when she said, could you just give me 1 day, I kicked myself. And I was upset, and she probably thought I was upset that I couldn't move in. No! I was upset that I didn't come up with that line. So anyways, those are two of the most beautiful sentences I have ever heard in my lifetime. Thanks for watching.